Hey guys, in this video we're going to be covering activity 6A.2. Our mastery learning objective is I can identify congruent angles and proportional sides by using the properties of similar figures. So what is a similar figure? Basically it's two figures that have the same shape but they're just different sizes. Okay, and then the sides are proportional and the angles are equal. So let's write this out. So first off, it's two figures that have the same shape but different size, right? So it's basically you either made it smaller or you made it bigger. What's important here is that the sides are proportional, right? So that means that you either made it bigger by the same size or you made it smaller by the same size. And the angles, which we talked about in the last video, and the angles are congruent. Congruent just means equal. All right, so if we see the notation of similar figures, if I'm telling you this image is similar to this image, you're gonna see this like little squiggle line, right? That means similar figures, right? Congruent just simply means that they're equal. So what does it mean to be proportional? Proportional here is that when two ratios or more ratios are equal. So here, when two or more, right, because it could be a three-side figure. So two or more ratios, our ratios are written as fractions. They have to simplify and become equal. So when you set up the ratios between the sides, they are equal. If another word of saying equal, like I said before, is congruent. So once we can prove that it's the same shape and that the sides are proportional, we can say, okay, these similar figures are congruent. This just means exactly equal in shape and size. So if something is congruent, congruent symbol notation is an equal sign with this little squiggle line. So if the figures are similar, one's bigger than the other. If they're congruent, then we can say they're exactly the same. You are also going to start seeing what's called a similarity statement. And our similarity statement is what can relate two figures. So this right here that I highlighted is what we call is the similarity statement. That in order gives us so much information because it actually tells us what's equal and what is not. So exactly the way that it's in order. We see triangle ABC is similar, we see that little squiggle line, to triangle ZXY. So the order in which this is stated. A was that first letter. That means that A, angle A, is equal to angle Z. First letter to first letter. So this is how we know angle A is going to be equal to angle Z. It's not always going to be looking like in the exact same order or like the way that the picture's drawn. So sometimes they might flip it on you, they might change it. So you just have to be cautious of looking for that similarity statement and then go in order. So now we see the second letter, which is B. That's going to be equal to the second letter of the other similarity statement, which is X. So B here, I'm going to put two lines because B is equal to X. Last one here, last letter on both of these similarity statements. So therefore, I see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to draw three lines. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice that they have equal angles, and we also have equal sides. So what you can do is you're kind of looking at the letters that you connected. So for example, if I were to look at C to B is connecting the 3 little scoop mark with that 2 little scoop mark. So the side that's proportional to CB or BC would be this side, which is YX. Notice it's connecting, it's the side that connects the like angles. You could also use the similarity statement too, because you see BC to be the middle and third letter. So that has to go with that middle and third letter of the second statement. All right, so kind of just quickly looking at this one too. If I would look at AB or BC, or AB or BA, those are the first and middle, so that has to go with the first and middle. So if we check it out, that would be that green 2 scoop mark and the 1 red scoop mark, which is in fact X and Z or ZX. All right, the last one here. I'm running out of colors, I don't even know what I picked. Would be AC, that would be the first and the third, so that would go with the first and third of the other letter, which would be Z and Y. Again, you can look at the scoop marks, you can look at the similarity statement. Either one is going to tell you which sides are proportional. So, example number 1. What are the congruent angles? So what we just labeled, which ones are congruent? So I believe they use red for the first one. So angle A, that first angle, is going to be congruent. Notice congruent is the equal sign with the little squiggle mark. That went to angle Z, right? First letter, 1 scoop, 1 scoop. I then believe I picked green. So this would be angle B is congruent to that second letter, which would be angle X. And that last one would be angle C is congruent to angle Y. Example 2, what are the proportional sides? So proportional sides, we set them equal and we set them up according to, or kind of like a fraction, but it's going to be the ratio between the sides. So our first side here, I'm going to say AB. So AB is actually what I wrote in blue. So side AB is proportional to, so that was this B line, so that would be the first 2 letters. And if I went from A to B, I'd have to say Z to X. So notice A came first, A is equal to Z, so I have to say Z. I have to say Z first. And then B came second, and B is equal to X. Now that side, if I were to have numbers there, are going to be proportional to the next set of numbers, which would be BC, and I wrote that in pink. So BC would be second and third letter. Second and third letter, B to C. Well, B was equal to X, so I have to say X first. Then I can say Y. And that's going to be equal to the last line, which I'm going to write as CA. So from C, go to A. Well, C is equal to Y, and A is equal to Z. So that would be YZ. So please make sure that you write these in order. That similarity statement tells you exactly how to write these. So it's not just in order just because they wrote it that way, it's because it tells you what sides are proportional and what sides are equal. So let's go ahead and look at this next example. So our similarity statement, we have triangle MNP is similar to triangle SRT. So first thing is, well, what are the congruent angles? So first thing is, I'm going to look at that first letter, angle M. So I'm looking at angle M, and that would be this angle right here. Angle M, that M is congruent to the first letter of the second statement. So that would have to be equal to angle S. So angle S is over here. All right, next color, go to the second. So that would be angle N is going to be congruent to that second letter, which would be angle R. So N and R. Last one here, sure, let's use pink. Would be P. So angle P is congruent to angle T. So P, 1, 2, 3, and T, 1, 2, 3. So those are all my congruent angles. What are the proportional sides? So now I'm going to go ahead and look at my sides. So I'm going to use the first two letters. So M and N. So MN, so M was the blue angle to the red angle N, so that's going to be from S to R. You could also look at the similarity statement, right? MN goes with SR. That's going to go ahead and be equal to, have you used purple? I don't think so. To the next side, we can say NP. Right, so NP, that's from red to pink. So from red to pink would be R to T. So NP, and again, we see that NP as the last two, so it has to go with the last two in order. And that would be RT. Last side here, what's your brown? Would be, we can say PM. So PM would be equal to TS. All right, so PM, right, that would be the third to the first. So then I have to go from the third to the first. TS. You could also use the picture. So you can use the picture, you can use a similarity statement. If you don't have either or, you can make it. So go ahead and work on this activity, and good luck.